What's up guys, I know it's been a while but I'm finally back with another video. In this video we'll be analysing the tactics set out by Marcelo Bielsa on his Leeds United side, especially this season, and just have a look at how they've managed to do so well in the Premier League especially this season. I know it's been a weird season, some teams not performing up to their usual standards, but for a newly promoted side to come in and finish ninth, I'm just going to have a look at the way they set up, have a look at a few clips to show you how they attack, have a look at a few stats, their results, and just stuff like that. So let's get into it. So to start off, we'll look at Leeds United's results over the course of the season, and then the final league table, as I've highlighted there, them finishing in ninth, like I mentioned. So impressive for a promoted team. But some results stand out to me straight away on that left-hand side. There's the 5-0 away against West Brom, the 3-1 at home against Tottenham Hotspur, and the 4-0 away to Burnley. They scored a lot of goals and they weren't afraid to score goals, and even against the bigger teams where it may not have paid off, the 4-3 loss on the opening day to the champions, I think with it being the first game of the season, they went to Anfield and they scored 3 goals, and some argued that they were on par with Liverpool that day, maybe even the better team. And a lot of people from that point could see what Leeds were about, and for a promoted team to do that, it signalled their intent of how they were going to play this season, and they showed it all season. And there we are in ninth place. They got criticised in the last few seasons in the Championship for maybe burning out at the end, which is why some might say they bottled promotion in the last few years, because obviously their tactics and their style of play is very intense, as we'll see. There's lots of running, lots of pressing. They might get tired towards the end, especially in a COVID season where games are coming thick and fast. The season's shorter. They're playing games twice a week most weeks, and to see that 4 straight wins in the last 4, 4-0 away to Burnley, 3-1 at home against Tottenham, that's not easy. And to finish the season in ninth, 3 points off Europe, 3 points off Tottenham. 8 points off the Champions League places. It's crazy what the Leeds United side have done this season. Maybe a bit inconsistent with results. You can see a couple of losses after a couple of wins. They couldn't really get a run of form going until the end. But it's just so impressive looking at the score lines there. We'll move on and have a look at a few clips now to see some of their attacking plays and how they created and scored goals. What really stood out to me, especially in this first game of the season against Liverpool, was how many men Leeds like to just rush into the box, overload. 5 Leeds players against 4 Liverpool players, the champions by the way, in their own backyard, and it results in a goal, because it's just too many men for Liverpool to handle, and that's just one of many examples throughout the season. This time, winning the ball high up the pitch against Newcastle, one of many factors in this goal. Overload at the back post, and that's how Leeds do it. It results in a goal. Another clip against Newcastle, this time is different if you look in context. It's a counter-attacking goal, but Leeds are actually 3-2 up here in the 85th minute, and you'd think any other team would want to sit back from a counter-attack, and they don't want to bomb too many men forward because they might concede a counter-attack. But no, 6 people going forward, they're queuing up at the back post, and Alioski slots it in there, and they end up winning this game 5-2. And this time against Spurs, I think again it's just getting players into the box. I think again they might have been winning at this point or drawing anyway. And overload on the left hand side, I think that's 5v5 in the box. And you just can't defend that type of play, and Bamford slots it in. Now we've looked at the clips, I just want to show a few pictures and diagrams about the shape and how Leeds like to attack. I've just chosen 3 examples. There's so many more throughout the games that they've won and lost. You actually saw one of the clips in the 3-1 win against Spurs, which was on the right-hand side. I'm just showing the midfield is what really gets me. Is you have Calvin Phillips, who's number 23. He's always sitting and protecting the defence, and he's sort of on his own, because the other 2 midfielders, if they're playing a 4-1-4-1, which was Leeds' most common formation in throughout the season, the 2 other midfielders are playing right up alongside Bamford, who I think is the striker in all of these images, or whoever was playing striker on the day. They're playing right up against them. I'm playing as sort of like 2 second strikers, and it's like Leeds have 5 men going forward every single time. The fullbacks play high, but not too high. The wingers play wide. I mean, maybe not so much in the picture of the average position against Spurs, but it's the midfield, the 2 other midfielders other than Calvin Phillips, who just bomb on and sort of leave Calvin Phillips on his own. But Calvin Phillips is that good that he can be left on his own, and he's the one who just distributes the ball, whether it's out wide, through the middle. And you've got Bamford, who is always looking to lay things off and get on the end of things. And you've got the 2 other midfielders, whether it's Stuart Dallas or Tyler Roberts or Click, whoever's playing in that midfield, you've got them supporting Bamford, and you've got the 2 wide men, Rafinha, Helder Costa, players like that, coming in and helping out. Jack Harrison. You've got players like that, and they're all 5 of them in the box. As you've seen in those clips, you didn't really see less than 5 players in the box at a time or going forward, and that's just why they score so many goals. And at the bottom there, they do like to play wide. Only 24% of their attacks go through the middle. But that's sort of because of how many players they are getting forward. The ball has to be played wide, and you get it in the box, and you're gonna find tap-ins, you're gonna find knock-ons, deflections, whatever. And it's that sort of intensity and scaring the opponents by just running at them, getting into the box, outnumbering them, overloading them, that gets Leeds so many goals. Before we look at a few stats, I just want to have a look at this diagram here from The Athletic, and it is absolutely unbelievable when I saw it. If you look at one side, it's average team number of sprints per 90 and average team sprint distance. So you're looking at all the teams sort of bunched together. Yeah, okay, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, who do like to press and do have an intense style of play, are up there with a lot of sprints, a lot of distance. But my word, Leeds United up there right at the other scale of both of them. Not only do they sprint more times, they sprint for a longer distance on average, and the fitness levels required to do that are absolutely immense. And I think that was just a really interesting diagram that I wanted to show you guys, just to outline their pressing and how much they run and how fit you must be to be in this Leeds United team. Yeah, that was all. It's just really impressive. Over 120 sprints per game, and nearly 2,400 sprint distance, 2.4 kilometres on average the team is sprinting per game. Really impressive. I'll just delving into a few stats and comparing them to the rest of the league. Goals scored per 90, 1.6, goals conceded 1.4, pretty standard, 7th in the league, which is actually higher than when they finished. They did score a lot of goals, as you can see. It did get counteracted by the goals conceded. They did concede the 7th most in the league. But if looking at shots taken per 90, third in the league, 13.7, taking a lot of shots per game. Maybe that's highlighting their finishing isn't the best. But then if you look at the expected goals per 90 at 1.6, that's pretty much the same as their goals scored, rounded, and one league ranking above. So they're taking the chances, aren't too far off what they should be. Their expected goals against 1.7, which is third in the league, which is probably the most worrying part of the stats and their style of play, because we know they like to bomb forward, as we saw in that Newcastle clip. It did pay off that time they scored and killed the game off. But I mean, they're conceding less than what is expected, which I guess you can say maybe the goalkeeper playing very well, but they do seem to give away a lot of chances. Possession-wise, was one of the most one of the stats that really stood out to me. 55.1% is their possession is the fourth best in the league. For a newly promoted side, that is pretty astounding. You'd think as a newly promoted side to do well, you'd sort of have to play sort of a counter-attacking game, which a lot of teams have done successfully. Wolves like to play that way. When they came up, they did very well. As we know, Leicester, who weren't a promoted team at the time, but they finished just a few points above the relegation zone, ended up winning the league the season after playing a counter-attacking game. So it was really interesting to see a newly promoted team have that much possession, more possession than many other teams. And I think they had more possession than I think the likes of Tottenham and Arsenal and Everton and teams like that, who were well-established Premier League teams. But that was really interesting to me, and it's something that it's that type of stat which makes me really want to look into this team, and it just shows how brave they are in the way they play, and it's something that maybe newly promoted teams in the future can learn off. You don't have to come to the league and play defensively. You can outscore teams, you can outpass teams, you can have more possession than some of the top teams in the league and do well. But a stat which may be a bit confusing there at the bottom, passes per defensive action, which is how many passes the other team makes before Leeds United win the ball back. 10 on average per game. I should have put the fact that it's per game there, but well, it doesn't really matter if it's per game or not, really, to be fair. But league ranking second in the league. That just shows how intense their pressing is, and how the whole game is based off running and intensity and pressing, which is, like I said, not normal for a newly promoted team. And the fact that they've done it so successfully is just absolutely crazy to me. But that is the most interesting stat that I've read about this Leeds team. Only 10 passes per defensive action. They do not allow teams to have the ball. They do not allow teams to have space. They do not allow teams to play their game, because Leeds United want to play their game and they want to take control. And it's that sort of bravery and intensity that I really admire about this Leeds team. I just want to have a look at some overall stats based on how well Leeds did and their results this season. There are a couple more based on their style of play, which is what we spoke about in most of the video. The first one, outran their opponents in 37 of the 38 Premier League games, which is absolutely amazing. I know we looked at their sprints and the stats to back up their pressing. I know we looked at a few clips of flying men into the box and winning the ball high up the pitch, and this just backs it up. Outran their opponents in all but one Premier League game. I'm not sure which game it was, but that just shows how intense the game is and how much the game relies on running and fitness and pressing and intensity. which again I just really admire from a newly promoted side. The next one, highest points tally by a promoted side since the 2000 and 2001 season, where Ipswich Town got 66. Again, what's that? 20 years. The highest points tally. I think it's around the 6th, 7th, or 8th highest finish, because it was a lot easier for teams in the early days of the Premier League to sort of promoted teams to sort of come in and do well, and that just shows the highest points tally since 2001 of a promoted side. It just shows how impressive they've been to just come into this league, which is dominated by teams with huge amounts of money, even the lower position teams in the league having huge amounts of money, and they've just come in and got the highest points tally since 2001. And alongside that, the record amount of goals scored by a promoted side in a 38-match season. Again, bravery, not afraid to attack teams, even the top teams in the league, as we saw 3 goals at Anfield in the first game of the season. And highest Premier League finish for Leeds United since 2002. So comparing them to their own league finishes, I know they got relegated in 2004. So I mean, there's not much of a chance for them to beat a Premier League finish after them, but it just shows how impressive they've been and how much better this team is than any other promoted side in the last 20 years. The joint 6th most goals scored this season, as we've seen in the other stat. I think I said 7th on that stat, but joint 6th is 6th or 7th. It's the same, unbeaten at home against the Big Six, which was a massive stat that I read. I've seen it a few times over Twitter recently. Not many teams can do that, promoted or not. Amazing. No team went to Welland Road that is part of this Big Six, if you like, and beat them. That just shows, again, that the willingness to play their game against the top teams and not just to sit back and hope for a goal and just get outplayed. They played their game, and then the last 2 based off the league table, as I mentioned at the start of the video, just 3 points off Europe. It's crazy for a newly promoted side. I know Wolves got Europe in their first season, I think, didn't they? But I don't like comparing them to the Wolves side of a couple of years ago, because Wolves had money. They had a lot of foreign players. They didn't impress me like this Leeds United team did, or have done. And the last one, just 1 loss in their last 11 league games. And as I mentioned at the start of the video about them having this stigma that Leeds tend to sort of fade off in the latter games of the season. They tend to burn off because of their style of play, because of how much they run and the intensity. But it was their best run in the last 11 league games, just 1 loss. As I said, 4 wins in their last 4. And it just really impressed me. So that is it for my analysis, or sort of chat about Leeds United and their performance this season, and how Marcelo Bielsa set them up in a way which has impressed so many people across England and across the world this season. Like I said, it was more of a chat rather than analysis. I didn't really analyse too much. I looked at a few videos, looked into a few stats and just spoke about it, and it was more just getting across how impressed I am with them this season, and just having a look at the way they play and having a look at the numbers behind it. But that is it. I know it's been a while since I've posted one of these videos, but I've had lots of uni work to do. But I am working on a few new projects now and a few new videos, so please like, comment and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.